Okay, everybody, this is Safe Cafe number 9. Welcome. Welcome to Safe Cafe number 9. We're so happy that you're joining us today from wherever you're at. I'm going to put the chat up for anybody who's come on through Google Hangouts. If you're watching through YouTube, welcome. I want to welcome my co-host Tim Coomber. Hi, Tim.
How you doing, my man? How you doing this week?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I know that you had a good week. We're going to hear from you tonight about your trip down to Troon to hang out with David Irvine and the whole crew at MaidSafe. I'm sure you had a good time.
And there's not many people in the world can say they've been down to Troon.
Yeah, that's true. That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's right. You do. That's why I say it, because I know that Gurok is where you live is north of Troon. So yeah. So we're gonna hear from you tonight, aren't we?
Yeah, and I'm really excited for that because we've got Dan from Emile's Telegraphic transmission device, which is, you have to be precise in how you say that, especially with my accent. And so Dan, we're saying hello to Dan. Hello, Dan.
Hello. Hi.
This is Dan.
Yeah. Hi, Dan.
Thanks for having me on today.
Yeah. So we're excited because Dan is our last musical guests were the Ceiling Demons, and we were really jazzed to have them on because they were our very first musical guests. But tonight we're breaking ground again because Dan, who is his band, the Emile's Telegraphic transmission device, and he's going to talk about the meaning of the name of that too, which is, it's a really cool, related to kind of like what we're up to meeting. I mean, you know, Emile was. We'll find out who Emile was and why he was kind of like pioneering things himself. So that'll be cool. And then there's Rich. Hi, Rich.
Hey.
Rich Beer down there in Rich Beer down there in New Mexico. And Rich just bought a really cool book. What's the name of that book?
Well, this is called Traction. And basically the book breaks down ways for startups and new ideas to get traction or growth, ways to they basically interview quite a few people, I think well over 40 different pioneers and different types of businesses and applications, and break it down for everybody else, and to say, okay, here's a good way for your project to gain traction, and so it looks like it lays down a nice pattern for us to look at.
Cool.
Who was that by, Rich?
Gabriel. I actually downloaded it, so I don't have the book right in front of me. But I can bring it up quickly.
Is it a free download? Yeah.
No, it's $9. It's a $9 download on Amazon, or you can buy the book for $11.83 US. I don't know what it would be there. And so yeah. Oh, Gino Wickman. I don't know where I got it. Gino Wickman is the author of this book.
Wickman. Okay.
Now I'd heard that he had he was involved in a pretty major startup. Do you remember what the name of it was?
Oh, when I started reading the book, it was all over the place. There was several different people contributed to this book. Let me bring up. I'll bring up some stuff. So.
Yeah, because somebody had told me the reason why I sent that to you. I can't remember what the name of the startup was, but it was very. I don't know. Very famous guy.
Right. Well, I mean, they have interviews with, let's see, the guy who started Wikipedia, Jimmy Wales, co-founder of Reddit, Alexis.
Yeah.
So quite a few people have contributed to this book. So it's really based on real-world experience and some great ideas.
Well, maybe our viewers don't notice, but
You know what? I
what?
believe I brought up something else earlier. It's Gabriel Weinberg.
Yeah. Now, what did he do?
Gabriel
Gabriel Weinberg.
and Justin Maris are the two authors of this book.
Yeah. What were the startups that they were involved in? Do you remember?
DuckDuckGo. Gabriel Weinberg started DuckDuckGo.
Yeah, DuckDuckGo, man. That is a very cool browser because they do not track you. They do not put ads in front of you. It's a very cool idea. They looked at what was wrong with browsers like what Google was doing, what Explorer was doing, what all these others were doing, and they decided they were going to create a way for people who didn't want to be spied on. They created something called DuckDuckGo. So I don't mind promoting that on the Safe Cafe because he's now written a great book, and that book's going to really help us. Instead of us having to sit here and wonder about how to gain traction, we're gonna learn lessons. We're gonna learn from the lessons learned by some of the greats who have created things like Wikipedia and DuckDuckGo, and we're gonna get. I want to say this on tonight's Safe Cafe. We are going to get traction for Network99 and Studio 99, so that artists and musicians and all kinds of content providers can. Instead of giving away their art, get paid for it. That's really what we're talking about. And without having to become, advertising executives and promotional kinds of people that, we're going to cut out the middlemen and let them be able to, through these applications, distribute their own art. And I just get goosebumps about it. I'm so excited because it's unprecedented. We're doing something that is truly revolutionary. So that's kind of how I feel about it. Well, Dan, I know, is going to play for us tonight, and we're excited to hear from him because I'm excited to hear. Dan's a very interesting musician. I was already an adult by the time. Really, I was already a young adult by the time techno made the scene. Dan and I grew up with bands like Led Zeppelin and the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. Aerosmith and Jethro Tull and Yes. I'm a Yes freak. I love Yes. Steely Dan, Allman Brothers Band, Leonard Skinner. These were the bands of my time as a teenager, growing up, and then it never leaves your head. Whatever you got into when you were a kid, it just stays with you your whole life in a sense. But I was an adult by the time techno showed up, and never really. Because it was past my time, never really got into it too much with bands like, and I see your T-shirt, OMD, Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark. And obviously, to me, it's a very intriguing story, Dan, is that here you are. Now, how old are you, man?
22, nearly 23 next month.
Yeah, so it's like you weren't even born yet, probably, yeah? Or were you... When these guys came out, right?
No, exactly. Yeah.
So tell us. We're gonna skip. We're gonna let Tim talk about his trip in a little while, but I want to. This is just so. I'm sorry, Tim. This is just so interesting to me. How does a guy? Yeah. How does a guy your age clue into this sound and say that it trips my trigger? That's what I want to do. Because you're really doing tech, it's like retro techno, but you're still your own sound. I get that. Inspired by like OMD, and I would say you probably listen to bands like, you probably like bands like Depeche Mode, I would assume, yeah?
Definitely, yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so tell us about that.
Okay, well, like the place where I'm from, everybody kind of wants to join a band. They kind of want to be in metal bands and stuff. Guitars is it's just so boring sometimes, because you get the real sort of metal bands like Metallica, and you know, I like a bit of that. But when you get the really bad metal bands, who kind of think that they can shred as much as they want and get lads or lasses to go out with them, it's beyond ridiculous.
If you could move closer to the microphone for this part, I'm having trouble hearing you.
Okay, is that better? Is that
Yeah. Thank you.
No, not a problem. Essentially, like, the thing with the guitar is it is one sound. Doesn't matter how much distortion you put on, it'll always still be the guitar. But with a little tiny box, a synthesizer, you know, I can get any sound that I want, twist some knobs, and then get exactly what it is that I'm looking for, that I can hear in my head. And I can put that to good use, really. So it's just you know, the synthesizer is just like this magical box of sound, really. So that is really appealing. And all those songs, you know, from OMD in the 80s and Depeche Mode and things like that, you know, they don't delve into the kind of love songs that you hear today, because everybody kind of just wants to write a love song, but you know, not a song about a historical event.
Yeah, so for those viewers who don't understand that kind of take on writing songs, or what those songs are about, help us understand why that's appealing to you, or better yet, give us a little intro before you tell us why it's appealing to you as to exactly what it is. You know, you just kind of said something very interesting to me, which today, you know, everybody wants to hear a love song. What were OMD and Depeche Mode trying to do back then?
Well, I'd say OMD, not so much Depeche Mode, but Orchestral Noise in the Dark, certainly. You know, they take like a different subject, such as Enola Gay, for instance. You know, they'll take that song about the plane that dropped the atom bomb on Hiroshima, and of course they'll turn that into a pop song, which, you know, sort of gets people to listen out. Because if there was a tag of like love song lyrics, typical kind of I love you kind of lyrics, then it wouldn't be as appealing, you know, because it would the music and the lyrics would marry into each other so perfectly that it would just be another song. But because it's such an obscure kind of lyrical content in with that pop song, kind of makes it a lot more different. You know, there's certainly a huge difference in the way that the song is composed, and I think that's the thing that I'm trying to do, because, you know, the Beatles said themselves, you know, there were too many love songs. The thing is, John Lennon wrote a good deal of love songs.
Yeah, and the ones he didn't write, Paul did. So.
Yeah.
Well, you know, when I was growing up, I don't know. Do you know who Gordon Lightfoot is?
I've heard the name. Yeah.
He wrote a very, very famous song in our day called well, it was something like, I don't remember the exact name, something like the Saga of the Edmund Fitzgerald, which was a boat that went out to sea, not to sea. It was on the Lake It was on Lake Superior in the Great Lakes in the United States. It went out and hit a storm and never came back and sunk. So it was sort of like, it wasn't the Enola, you know, it was a very famous song about a real event that happened, about a boat sinking, and it touched a nerve for people for some reason. So, listen, go ahead, Tim.
No, I was going to say, I've always found that that's one of the, it's almost like, there's a great English word that says like sneaking things in, and that's what I loved about. I was more your metaler, mate. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I've always been a guitar boy, but ironically enough, when I was sort of like 12, 13, my first year of school, I loved Howard Jones, which is Now, the thing was, it was the same. He had a song called Prisoner, and it was the lyrics he came out with in a really catchy pop tune. And like you say, very kind of synthesized stuff. And I always thought, that's a really good way of doing it. You know, the really kind of poppy song, you're getting really deep lyrics along. It's a bit like the Demons do. I mean, it's a bit like Stay With You and Doodlebug. I mean, I've told you all week, I love doing woodwork, and then, you know, when it's just the things you get out, like little boy. Now that's why I'm a writer. I love playing on words. Now people can read that and go, oh, little boy, but if you know the story, and if you go away and read it, and then you read, oh, and it's a great thing. I mean, that's what I love about what you do with the synth. I mean, that's just what I was going to say. So I just wanted to chip in with that.
No, yeah, like, you know, the thing also about it is that you don't want to sort of write that is depressing. That sounds depressing. That is also depressing. So
Yeah.
you know, it's kind of like opposites attract, really. You know, because you can't have two of the same thing that to try and get it to convey a message that, you know, will or will not make sense to the listener, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's always good to sort of combine the use of feelings and emotion with something that doesn't have emotion, because it makes it, you know, it really triggers a lot of questions inside your mind, you know.
Yeah.
Hey, so I want to just interject for those that are watching. If you have a question or a comment for Dan or anybody, feel free to text your questions, and I've put the little thing up there for you to do that. And feel also free to tell us generally where you're watching from. I'm not looking for I always say this. I'm not looking for a GPS location. Just kind of the province, state, or country will do. Just kind of nice to know who's checking in. If you feel like it, you don't have to. Dan, tell us about the name of your band, Emile's Telegraphic Transmission Device. It's very intriguing to me. Give us a little background, and then tell us what that's about.
I just want to say this. You all have headphones on, and so I think you hear more clearly. And you, Tim and David, come in really nice, but we're still going to need you to get closer to the microphone again, because on my computer, which I imagine on most people who will be watching it without headphones, are going to have a hard time hearing you.
Yeah. Is that any better? I don't know for Dave or Tim.
No, you're fine. Don't worry about it.
All right.
So that's good for you, Rich, yeah?
That's better for me now, thank you.
Okay, so Emile's Telegraphic Transmission Device. The Coldplay X and Y album. There was a thing that we have in the UK. It is the Christmas lectures. Tim, you'll be familiar with this, I guess? Well?
Yeah, the Christmas lectures, yep.
Lectures, and the one year, I was still in school at this point, they had this little article on about telegraphy. And they explained the Coldplay X and Y album, the sleeve art, is the code that Emile Baudot had formulated. So it was a pictorial kind of symbolization of the code that he was renowned for. Because essentially before him, you know, telegraphy, especially during the First World War and the wars before that, it was quite an important part of the war, being able to send, you know, messages from fort to fort, and you know, and you could only do that one character at a time across a single line. Now, what Emile had done was he'd formulated a way to send more than one character over the same line at the same time, and that's how he you know, came to his claim to fame, essentially. So effectively, as we were going back to the title, I didn't really want the band. Sorry about that. I didn't want the band to start with the word "the" in it, because, you know, you can have the Smiths, or, you know, the Clash, or the Sex Pistols, and, you know, there's only so much you can do with that one three-letter word. You know, if you want to find the music that I'd be composing in Google, you could just easily type in whatever name, and you get a whole list of different bands with the same name, you know, very typically. However, with this, because it's such a unique name, you know, that will come up first thing in the search bar. So it's it's a better way to sort of make sure that I'm getting some kind of exposure direct to people who, you know, want to find the tag that I'm included in.
I mean, it's fascinating as well, because there's a connection between what you're doing with your music and his actual device. Because it was as I understand it, was a five-keyed
keyboard.
Keyboard, and it was sort of like you could send messages instantly, and the reader at the other end would have to know what certain spaces meant and stuff like that. So it's kind of almost the projection from what he was doing to what you're doing is almost It's linear, isn't it?
It
No.
is, yeah. I've got here actually, which I'll be able to send you as well. That's the first album sleeve with the
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
Oh, hold it there. Hold it. Wait a second. Hold it up again. Hold it up again. I want to lock on that for a second. Oh, wow. That is cool. Okay. That's awesome.
I felt that was fitting with the kind of music that I did as well, because you know he's using a keyboard. That's what he was famous for. It's known as the Baudo keyboard, and you know I play keyboard, so I thought, you know, there we go, 1-on-1.
So what songs on that?
That'll be Doodlebug on that one.
Well,
Really?
at that point, come on, give us a verse at least of Doodlebug, because I love that tune. Come on, man.
I can certainly play that one for you, you know, whenever's good for you guys.
Do it now, man.
Yeah, do it now. Do it now, man. Hey, before you get going, I just want to shout out to Viv and Francis. Viv Rajkumar and Francis Brunelle are both watching from Troon tonight. So, big shout out to you guys. Thanks for watching the Safe Cafe. And so go ahead, Dan. Give us a. Now this is different, right? You were going to play a different song, but I think because Tim's crazy about Doodlebug, we're going to hear that, right?
We'll come back to your other tunes in a minute, but yeah, play Doodlebug for me, man.
Yeah, I'll slow the project up because I haven't got a live project for this, but I can certainly put this up in just a sec.
This is real rock and roll, people. This is how it works in the industry, like this. No,
That's cool. I mean,
forget what you.
This is what it's all. This is what it's all about, man. So, you know, it's not about, you know, what's cool about Safe Cafe and Safe Network and MaidSafe. Nobody's trying to be things that are not. So we just have a good time.
I mean, have you seen the video to Doodlebug, David? I mean, the video's great.
Well, I have to admit, no. I watched a different video and a different sound. I can't remember what the name of it was, but it was not that one. I watched part of an interview too, where Dan was on a BBC broadcast and talking about Emile and that sort of thing. You know, I just think it's cool, and you know that this whole concept in the name of your band is actually very related to what we're trying to do here.
Exactly.
You know? He's got, you know, Emile Badeau. He was a pioneer in the time. He took, is like you said, right? His ability was to take more than one character and transmit it simultaneously. Is that about it?
That's about it. Yeah, that's correct.
Okay,
yeah.
so he was one of the pioneers in the whole notion about data compression.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. It's huge, and you know, we're just here trying to take it to the next level, aren't we, Viv? Okay, Dan, you ready to go?
I'm ready to go.
All right, it's yours, man. I'm going to shut up.
If I do mess up, I do apologize, since I haven't.
That's rock and roll, man.
Doesn't matter, man. Just don't matter.
If you can't hear, just let me know, and I'll tweak a few things. I'll get some
just speak into the mic.
Okay. Doodlebug, I hear you in the sky. Please don't stop, please don't let me die. You hear the sound and then it stops. You open up and down it drops. Little boy, please don't fool around. Little boy, please don't take us down. Another corner, another town, another way to get around. Will you ever stop the crying games? Since 44, nothing's been the same. Doodlebug, we hear you in the sky. Please don't stop, please don't let me die. We hear your sound, but then you stop. You open up to let him drop. Little boy, please tell who you found. Little boy crashing to the ground.
All right, let's hear about it. Hang on, man, we got it here. That's great, man. That's great.
Thank you very much.
Hey, I want to remember this moment that the first word sung by a musician on the Safe Cafe was Doodlebug.
You're more than it's a privilege, a pleasure to play that, to be the first band to play on your fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, we just appreciate it so much. We're gonna hear from you again before the night's out, aren't we?
Yeah, sure. Anything.
Okay, so you can play it. You need to play. We're gonna ask you to play a song going out tonight. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, that's perfectly.
All right. Cool. And so our next segment. Okay, the moment I know everybody's been chomping at the bit to hear, because I tell you, I know you wasted a lot of beer on Irvine, didn't you, Tim? No, you didn't win. No, okay. That was only. I guess that was only a rumor I heard. No, I gotta say it was only a rumor I made up. Okay. So, but Tim spent some time down with our core development team in MaidSafe, and tell us about your visit, Tim, and tell us what you think, what went on, whatever you want to say. And anybody that has any questions, feel free to ask Tim. Write them in, or Rich, or Dan, or whatever.
Well, as I have to reiterate, as I always do whenever I mention background in the Troon, it really is a glimpse of the future. I mean, as I said before, so I'm only repeating myself, but to walk into an office in a room where there is no leadership is, I don't know, I find it intoxicating. It's very, I don't know, something in the air. There's something like, whoa, this is the future. There's no leadership in this thing at all, but they're all collecting around the thought. Amazing. Yeah, they had Paige and they had Francis across from the San Francisco pod. It's great to meet up with Paige, who I know is a listener to the show, so hello, Paige. Although she won't be listening live tonight because she's probably on a plane.
And Francis is from Montreal.
Exactly, so it was good to meet those two. And they were, well, I'd actually been there all day. I think they'd hijacked David into a cabin to do his whole introducing himself to the world and the MaidSafe project to the world, which I don't think is too much of a secret, but it's not exactly something David looks for fame. He's not a man who searches the limelight, put it that way. You know, so I think he was quite glad by the time I got in. I kind of rescued him from the TV cameras. But yeah, it was very good. It was good talking to them all. I think the thing that encouraged me a lot from coming back there was the awareness that we really are, as you were saying before, we're pioneering, and it was good to hear from people like, you know, in the MaidSafe crew, and aware of what we're doing, and kind of, you know, and walking into someone like all those people, and they understand the nature of what it is to be a pioneer. You know, because it's as I said before, it's like all that's missing between any of us is language. You know, I don't understand any of their code, and they wouldn't understand if I started talking about Gresso paint. But the great thing is that we're all here, all of us, even Dan right now, we're all here on the edge, and there is no anything. It was great to do that, and it was I don't know, I found it encouraging to you know, particularly the MaidSafe team were, you know, we're behind what we're doing, and I think it's nice. It's always nice to know that people who are from a different kind of world from me are behind what we're doing, because it sort of reinforces to me that what we're doing is correct. Not that it's our idea, but we're basically, you know, as I said before, we're on the side of the motor car over the stagecoach, and we know we're gonna. It's inevitable. I would think the same thing. I mean, just repeating what we said. I think between now and when it's put up online, I think it's the most crucial time where we stand as the safe network. I think the next few months are crucial, and I think it's like you were saying earlier on. It's about, I think now, just creating the word and spreading the word out, because this is going to hit, and it's going to hit fast. And I think what we have to be is realistic in what we tell people, but equally we should tell people. You know, we don't say to them, "Oh, here we've got the car with the kit caboodle," but we've got, you know, a running vehicle. And it's like me and David Irvine were talking about, and you were saying, it's the same thing as that. You know, this is going to come online. It's not going to be all the sat navs and stuff inside this. You know, it's going to be just the very basic form, and this is where we're building at. And I think, to be honest with people and tell them that, it's something we should do. But equally, all we need to do is tell people the benefits of what's coming, because it's definitely coming. And I think it's just a stage by bit by bit by bit. And I think what's happening, and I could talk about this later on more with me, but the demand is massive. I'm being overwhelmed on a daily basis by people who's coming to me. The minute they're hearing about it, they want to contribute, because that's the almost revolutionary thing is that there is no "it's my idea." It's if you've got a point to say, come out and say it. And if you see a weakness in the system, tell people, because there is no, you know, it's even like Dan tonight. Dan came out, or anybody can come in and drop an idea in, and we can all work on it. And that's, I don't know, that's quite revolutionary for people to get their heads around it, you know, because it's all right saying, when you see it in practice, it's like, oh, you know. So any other questions, feel free to ask, but, you know.
Yeah, well, you know, it's really cool, because we're going to talk to Rich in a little while about, you know, what it takes to get traction for a startup, and Network99 being, you know, what makes it a killer app. You know, listen, we're just real. We know it's vaporware, okay? That's a given. You know, pioneers start with vaporware, but what makes it a killer idea is that it taps into the need and where we're at. Look at what's going on right here on the Safe Cafe. You got Dan the musician, you got Rich and Tim and David, who are kind of like creating this new application called Network99. Viv Rajkumar, he's watching from Troon tonight. You know, Viv is the guy who's developing the application programming interface that's going to make it easier and possible and easier for guys like us than when we get our development team together to go, here's how we're going to connect to the Safe network. And I mean, if you just look at what's happening right here tonight, it's an amazing thing, because it from MaidSafe to the application to the to the end. It's Dan, and Dan, I just want to ask Dan. Dan, what's it going to mean for a musician like you that instead of having to give your music and art away, that you're actually going to be paid for it?
Well, I think that it's good to get paid for it as well. But it's a nice bonus, but I'd gladly get up on stage and do it for free as well, because I think at the end of the day, music should be free, because from the very beginning of time, it was an art form and it was a way of communication.
Sure.
And somewhere we thought we can write songs and make money from this.
Right.
I mean, I'm signed up to things like Spotify, so my stuff is on there too, and
Right.
I only get pennies every time it gets streamed.
Right.
Which I think is a shame, because artists need to eat and live too.
Yes. Yes. That's all I'm saying. I'm not talking about getting rich. I'm talking about being able to eat and support yourself and be an artist. That's the beauty of what I think we're trying to do here, is that, no, this is not about getting rich. This is about being able to be true. It's like, instead of you having to sit there and figure out what's going to sell, who's going, how am I going to create the next watered down version of something that is going to get airplay? You get to be true to your art and do the kind of music you want to do and develop the niche audience that's yours. Except in this, we're talking about a grand scale all over the world. And that's the beauty of what I think we're trying to do here with Network99. A shout out to, I'm going to try to pronounce it, is it Livy Birkeland, watching from Lillehammer, Norway. So that's exciting to me. Thank you for watching.
Hello, Norway.
Yeah, we've had people from all over the world, even though we've only been doing this. This is the 9th cafe, and it just keeps getting better all the time. That's an old Beatles song.
I actually know Leva. She's a very lovely girl from Norway.
Oh, her name is Leva.
Leva.
Ah, okay. So she's watching you tonight. Cool.
Yes. Hello, Leva.
That's great. That's super.
Go back to what you were saying, David. I mean, it's not like you're saying. I'm with Dan. It's not about the money. You don't write songs about Hiroshima and expect to become a rich man. I know that one, Dan. Man, I've been there for many years, man. But it's more the point of it's so. As we were saying before, and I don't want to divulge. It's so the artist or whatever doesn't have to sit in a shitty call center. I mean, of X-Fan or work at the KFC. It's been, I don't know, where I always sort of say, what meeting do we miss where the artists and the people who generate this stuff got lowered to that point? Because all through history, these were the people who were admired. You go back to the Greeks and they were like the highest of the high, were the artists. And suddenly, we've all missed a meeting and we're suddenly working in crappy shops for shit money instead of getting paid for what we're doing. And none of us, I think the true creative people, money's the last of their worry. I don't care about money. I just care about what I do. I just want the ability to do it without having to do a secondary job. I don't know if Dan feels the same way as me, but
no, it's what I think is revolutionary about what we're doing has a lot to do with the article I wrote on the Safe Network blog, which is the idea that parents, one day soon, hopefully, parents won't have to look at their artistic children and tell them to be realistic. No, you can create your art and market your own art, and you don't have to get paid. I mean, you don't have to give it away to do that. And no offense to what goes on the internet today, because there isn't any other alternative. You don't have a safe, secure, autonomous, serverless, encrypted, free, private network that will pay you in safe in an altcoin or cryptocurrency for what you do. But that, I mean, I think that this is such an extraordinary innovation that many people need to really stop and think about what that means. Is that the network itself autonomously pays applications for the actual data transmission traffic that is generated for the network itself. So it's an affirmation. You know, if Network99 is as useful as I firmly believe it will be, you know, it doesn't have. By the way, I don't think people realize how, you know, infinite a network like the Safe Network can become, or is actually, even still. You know, you talk about hooking up 500 million machines. The world doesn't even know what that's like yet.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of, I mean, there's probably room on the Safe Network for, you know, 20 Network99s, let alone, you know, the fact that we're probably the first who have thought about it, that are actually doing anything about it, or at least has any kind of a public profile about it. So
I just come to it from the point of view. I just know too many people or too many bands that have just been lost in this world because they were never recognized by companies and stuff. And you know, I mean, I'm not being funny, but do you know what I mean? If I was chairman of EMI and I was going to go to Dan, you know, I would put demands on his music. I would say, well, you need a 3-minute song that doesn't mention this, it's not going to upset that person. And then Dan is going to quite rightly say, or I would quite rightly say, no, let's put it politely, go away. I'm not going to be quite polite, you know. But I mean, you know, because you don't want that. You just want to be like, as I said before, you just want to put your generating what you put out. That's the only reason what we do. I mean, I'm sure Rich is the same also. When you're creative, you don't do it for any other reason other than to express that creative urge. That's all it is.
But, and I think the key point in what we're trying to create has to do with the notion that an artist can be authentic and true to himself, because in a 500 million machine network, he doesn't need 500 million people to love him. He only needs the niche that is going to get turned on by ETTD's kind of sound. And that's the way life is anyway. You know, people are going to like what they like. You can't, nor should you, even try to appeal. If you're a real artist, you're what makes you be true. Be a true artist is to be true to who you are. You paint the way you paint. You make music the way you make music. You write the way you write, and you make no apologies for that, and you don't sit there and think, what's going to sell, or how do I please my producer? That's the beginning of the death of art, is that, and that's all that goes on in the commercial world. In the worst part, let's put it this way, the worst parts of the commercial world is that, you know, to try to appeal to a wide audience, you get this sort of what I call dumbed down, watered down version of something, and it's meaningless. It doesn't have the characteristics of real art. And I think what's exciting to me about what we're trying to do here with creating Suite 99, which is you know, two applications really, Network 99 and Studio 99, is to enable artists to just, like you said, Tim, you know, earn a living marketing their own, not marketing, making their own music and letting the application do the work in a sense. Because that's what's going to happen, is people are going to come, surf, find, and listen, tell their friends, and over time it's going to, you know, people are going to be able to earn SafeCoin that way. And I mean, musicians are, in this example. What about, you know, another thing that really got me excited about the whole thing that we're trying to do was, you know, I used to work in Hollywood, and I can tell you for sure there's probably 100,000 independent films that have never seen the light of day in a theater, you know, and these are people that have spent their own money, their own time to create great artistic independent films, and they got nothing for it. Right now today we tap into that through the channels of, they can upload their stuff onto their own channel on Network99 in the near future. They've got, who knows what it would mean for them. And it's just, and the point is that regardless of how successful or not successful an artist is, he still is in control of his own art and has a way to put that out, and hopefully at least have some chance of earning a little something for it, rather than just completely giving it away and not really benefiting personally from it. And we're going to talk tonight, and we're going to switch gears. We're going to talk now with Rich Beer about I'm going to do something stupid like that to switch our segments, but it's related to what we've been talking about. Rich just recently purchased on Amazon a Kindle version, or I think pretty much a downloadable version of some sort of a brand new book that came out. Now I want to shout out to one of our friends from MaidSafe.org, a fellow by the name of Chris Foster, and Chris put this book out on one of his posts, and I saw it, and I sent it to Rich, and Rich is kind of one of the guys here who's been he's a photographer himself. He has lots of things that he'd like to see done with the Network99 minimal viable product that we're building about photography. But he's also the guy who's heading up some of the things to do about how do we create awareness, how do we get people involved, what is it going to take for this startup to gain traction, and that's the name of the book. So I'm going to shut up now, Rich, and tell us about what you found out so far and what your thoughts are about this whole idea of gaining traction. And for anybody who's watching tonight who has their concerns about how to develop their own applications for the Safe Network, and you're creating your own application and your own startup, what are some of your thoughts and ideas about that whole idea?
Before I start, I guess I just got a message from Ida Aria. I just wanted to acknowledge her because she was trying to get it. So anyway, hi, Adia. So anyway.
Oh, Adia Aria. Yes, she's turned out to be quite a fan of the Safe Cafe. Big shout out to Adia. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, or is it Ada?
A message saying she was trying to get onto the Google Hangout, but so it's an invitation. So I guess things got confused.
Yeah, Ada, just let's do it. What we do is, and I don't mind saying this publicly, if people want to be on the Safe Cafe, we don't have any objection, and certainly if you have a reason that you want to hang out with us, or whatever, we want to be what we call one of the talking heads, we're happy to have you on. But what we do is we try to send us a message. You can send it to me, direct message me at David Lassoff on Twitter, or send it to my email or Google Plus. I know Ada, you have it.
Contact me.
Contact Tim Coomber, because that's the best way to do it. Contact Tim Coomber, because
we're already contacted. Me and Ada already.
Okay, cool. Because and I just want to say this, that Tim is the Safe Cafe program director. So I blessed him off last week. I told him, I said, you are the program director for the Safe Cafe. So anyway, get a hold of Tim, and we'll be glad to have you on. Go ahead, Rich.
Okay, so to be fair and honest, I haven't read much of the book yet, but there are some great takeaways right off the bat. they create a framework for understanding how to get traction if you're a startup or if you're trying to get a project off the ground. And the framework, they termed it the bullseye framework. And they say it's a 5-step repeatable process to maximize your chances of getting traction. First, you brainstorm, then you rank, then you prioritize, then you test, then you focus. And what that means is if anybody has a product or a message they're trying to get out to get traction, you look at all the avenues available. You can look at everything from podcasts to blogs, anything online where there's a group of people, pretty much a core group of people. You get your message out there, and if it resonates with them, then you build your foundation that way. And by the bullseye framework is the idea is that you pick out your best ideas, your best 3 ideas of how to get your message out, and that's your bullseye. And then that's your inner circle, your inner ring. And then on the outside of that would be other ideas you have that you think are good possibilities for getting your message out. Then, yet again, on the outside of that ring, you have what would be your long shots. Maybe a long shot for us would be getting, David Irvine to do a podcast with somebody like, Joe Rogan, and spends, 5 minutes talking about Network99, and that would be a huge long shot, Hail Mary. That would get a lot of.
It might not be that long of a shot, Tim. Huh? Might not be.
It's just.
Hey, so anyway, what I wanted to ask you real quick before we went on, give us those 5 steps again.
All right, the 5 steps. Brainstorm. We all sit down and figure out what are the best ideas and for getting the word out. And then we rank them accordingly. The best 3 ideas are the bullseye. And then possibilities outside of that aren't the best 3 would be the next ring. And then which would be the ranking. So we brainstorm, then we rank. So the best 3 in the inside and then the rest on the outside. And the long shot, most outer ring. And from there, we prioritize on those bullseye, the best 3. We prioritize how to actuate that idea. How are we going to implement those 3 ideas? Then we test them out. We actually go and get it done, and the ones that have the most oomph or the chutzpah, whatever, that's the ones that we focus on. That would be the 5th. So brainstorm, rank, prioritize, test, and focus.
Okay.
That same principle works with everything. I mean, that's the same principle.
Everything, exactly. Yeah. So that's there's also it's a long book. There's a lot to get out of this. What I would like to do is actually perhaps before the next hangout. The hour before, we have a core group of people who are interested in doing the brainstorming, and we actually, do our brainstorming off air, and we see what we can get done that hour before, and then if something is really clicking, resonating, then we introduce it on air the next hour. So.
Okay, that would be great. I think that's a great idea. So what else do you want to? Yeah, what else do you want to say about that?
Yeah, I just wanted to say if there's anybody listening or anybody interested, contact Tim, and so you can join us that hour before the next broadcast or live Safe Cafe and be a part of the brainstorming activity. So.
Good.
Yeah, I mean that ties in with what I was, trying to sort of say about whenever I've gone to MaidSafe. Even at the people, the coders who are building this, that's exactly the principle. Anybody can contribute. I think that's quite a revolutionary point, because like Rich was just saying, the idea that everybody can have their say is nobody should be left in the corner saying, "Oh, I'm not sure." If you don't like something, come up and say it. I mean, it's like nature. eventually, if an ant comes in and they all see a process and think, do you remember we were talking about bees? It's like the emergent bees. You've all got to say, oh, if I'm a set of bees, oh, and over there is the right place. And it's like, well, no, there's only one little sugar lump. It's going to last us about a week. It's all about the same idea. Nobody should feel that they should be in the corners anymore. And it doesn't matter because, especially what we're talking about, because we're in a situation where all we're doing is communicating electronically through cables. So we can all come in and have an idea and all say it, not just being, as it probably was in olden days, where it was the biggest and the strongest had their say. This goes to what we were saying before about privacy. It's the ability in private, in almost like an anonymous sense, to say, I want this produced, I want this, demand. Tell us all. Don't just be a sound and diet. The Demons have a very great line that says either flower or fry, or wither or die. And I think that's exactly where we're standing. We're saying to people, we don't have to wither and die anymore. You can stand up and you can flower and you can fry and you can let these expressions out. You can. I mean, I was fascinated with what Dan. Is it 3 albums you put out this year, man?
It would be 2 albums this year, yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Wow.
That's the example of what I'm saying. That's flowering and thriving. That's a guy who's putting out a lot of stuff. I mean, your new album's called Road. I've got to ask you about this. Road, rail, air, sea, and other means of transportation.
Wow.
Now tell me what about that title and what led to that.
Okay, well, I'd finished the second album, which is Ambivalence in Motion, which has Lady Windermere on it.
Right, yeah.
And then I'd finished it, and I think I'd finished it in the September the 30th last year, and I had the whole October. I was thinking, I'm gonna have a break now. I'm gonna need a good year's break because I was completely mentally exhausted. Like I had no more ideas. I was completely sucked dry of any ideas. And then it came to November, and I was watching. Because I have these little phases where I'm sort of interested in something. I'm obsessed with something like the Titanic. I wrote the song Sea first. It had a different title then. And sorry, I'll get closer in so Rich can hear me. Is that better? Can you hear me? There we go. Fantastic. And essentially what I'd done was I'd put it down and I wanted it to be this really experimental kind of 8-minute long song, that kind of changed theme throughout the entire phrasing of the song. And I'd written it and I'd put these things down and I'd heard it back and I was thinking, that's a good idea. I need to sort of find a way to put this into a concept now. And then I was just traveling home on the bus from university through Durham one evening, and it was a bus that I'd not taken before. So I was eager. It took a good hour, and I was really eager to sort of find, landmarks or sort of markers to show me where I was in the country. And then we came around this one bend, and I saw in the distance just a tiny little cathedral-shaped figure, and I thought, there we go, I'm home now. And then that's when I sort of got the idea, write a set of songs, that sort of put this context forward of finding your way home after quite a very long journey. And because also while I was on that trip, I was listening to Autobahn by Kraftwerk.
Oh gosh, I just listened. Oh my gosh, I just listened to Kraftwerk. Oh, you want to hear something, Dan? You inspired me to go listen to Kraftwerk after I listened to Lady Windermere. It was like that was the first song I listened to of yours, and then I said, yeah, I remember, man, listen to Kraftwerk. So I went on their website, and it was just bizarre. Just I hadn't listened to them in had to be 30 years or something crazy like that. I'm sorry. I just had to say that.
No, das ist gut, yeah.
I really like your graphics on your Facebook page.
Oh, thanks very much.
I'm looking at that. I like that. It reminds me of Tim's drawing for ideas for Network99. So, okay.
When we went in to record the drums for the new album, we had an engineer called Ed Lopez, and he's from Mexico, and he said he liked the artwork that I designed for the second album, and from there I asked him if he'd like to design the third album. So he said, yeah, sure, I'll take that on. So I gave him £200. I couldn't afford it, but I gave him it anyway, because I felt that I was sort of sick of trying to marry my idea of how the art should represent the music. because I think that's also important as well. You know, if you've got a, I'm not trying to say that my music's good from myself, but this is just about music in general. You know, I think if you've got a good sort of composition, you need some artwork, such as Tim. I think that because I've got a copy here actually of the Ceiling Demons artwork that you've done. I think that really fits the theme of what these guys are really writing and you know, writing their songs about, you know.
Sure.
You've got their little markers across the place, like the small the masks on the floor next to the tree. You've got the inside, haven't you? I think that is very fitting, you know, because you know you can't really sort of have a good composition to be let down by really bad artwork, can't you? You know.
That was I wanted to say that was yours, Tim, right? That is your design on their album, yeah?
Yeah, that's the one. I've mentioned this story before, but I spent like maybe 3 or 4 months doing 2 really detailed pictures. I put one of them up on my Google account last night, and I spent ages and ages and working on these designs, listening to the tunes, and you know, focusing so much, and then I finished it all, and I remember writing on Facebook to say and saying, right, I've done it, that's it. We can now get, you know, that's it, my part, this is done. I finished chatting to him, kind of like sat back and thought, oh, okay, almost as an afterthought, I thought, well, okay, and I did that painting, and it took me about an hour. And I kind of posted to him after and said, oh, I just finished doing this tonight, Si. Next morning, oh my God, man, that's the best. And it's a perfect example of what I've been saying from, you know, what we're trying to build and connect, because, as I said before, sometimes it's the mistakes that become the things that people love. And you never know, even when you, me as someone who creates something, I never know what's going to hit with someone else. I mean, I'm sure, like tonight, Dan didn't come and expect me to sort of ask him to play Doodlebug, because I love it. Now, he may be sick and tired of playing that tune, or maybe not, but what I'm trying to say is, I love what Dan was saying, because that's exactly how I would approach the demons. And I think it's something that, like Dan was saying, it's sometimes you just want to create for the sake of creating, and you know, so go on, carry on anyway.
No, it's cool. And while we're on the subject of art, I don't want to lose this. Hey, Rich,
Yes.
you're gonna get with that Adia. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. I'm sorry if I'm not. She made a comment about something, and I said for her to get a hold of you. She had some renders that were really powerful, and I thought, since you were designing some of the mock-ups and something to do with, you know, things with the website and for Network99, I'm talking about, you could get with her, and then maybe we could have her on, you know, and talk about, you know, because some of the stuff that she's done is pretty amazing, and it would be interesting to see if there would be some way to dovetail her talent into what we're doing.
I'd love to. Yeah.
Yeah, so get with her on that, and then Adia, get with Tim about being on the show and stuff like that. So
go on, Dan, you were saying, sorry about I long-winded up, but you were saying about air, sea, and other means of transportation. You saw the sign, it reminded back home, so go on.
Yeah. Essentially with that album, like, I just thought that it would be like a once-off kind of song that I'd composed, and then before I knew it, you know, I had another album, like, on my computer ready to be pressed. And it's just ridiculous because, you know, they say whenever a band do their first album, the second album is always the difficult one. That was certainly the case with my second album, but the third album just came like that, you know. It certainly wasn't a problem. It just seemed to just flow from what I was doing. It's ridiculous when I sort of look back on it, because like, it normally takes a lot out of me to concentrate and think about chords and patterns and melodies and stuff. But this one, it was just like chords, melody, vocals, chords, melody, vocals. And 4 months between the 2 albums in this year. It's, wow.
I mean, it's another interesting thing that maybe people are aware or not aware of, but you do a lot on vinyl. Now, I've told you, I'm a big vinyl fan. I'm sure David being an old school.
Oh gosh.
but
man, there's nothing like the sound.
I'm fascinated, Dan. in the day and age you are now, tell me about vinyl. I mean, please.
The thing is, there's a company that I'm linked to called Ditto Music, and they're UK based. They're also based in America, and I've used them before. But the thing is, they're absolutely useless when it comes to representing their artists, right? Because they say that they care about the artist and that there's a certain decorum that they should follow as professionals. But every time I've tried to put a release up, the date is either wrong, or they don't release it, or they don't promote it as they say they will for the amount of money that I pay them. So I think, what, to hell with that. I can do this myself by putting out CD and vinyl, because actually, I can send this out to you as well. It's a 100 copies only. Doodlebug 7-inch.
Wow! Wow! That is awesome, man. Oh, that is. Wait, hold on, man. You got. I never see. You don't see that anymore, man.
No, man, that's it.
You just don't see it anymore.
The thing is about vinyl is it's a very beautiful, well, any physical thing, it's very beautiful kind of material, because when you go on iTunes and a new album, you can't touch it, you can't feel it, you can look through a PDF, while you're listening to the music of the artwork and all this, but that's nothing compared to actually putting the needle on the record and actually looking at the sleeve notes and the lyrics and the pictures in the booklet, and you just get that warmer sound, because it fills the room. And now we just in an age where we put earphones in, and I do it myself, but with that comes the risk of damaging our hearing and stuff, and I just think vinyl says it all, really, because the sound is there physically. All it takes is a needle to run across those grooves and make the vibration happen. Really, it's there, it's just waiting to be played. But a file, because it technically doesn't exist, then that doesn't really back the musician up. Can
you comment on, is this vinyl, is it the same as old-fashioned vinyl in the sense that this is an analog recording and not a digital recording?
Well, essentially it's a digital recording based on
what?
Medium.
Wait, I'm hearing something. Are you hearing something?
Yeah. Just a second.
Sounds like a toilet flushing.
I was going to make a comment about it.
Now go ahead. Tell me about the actual recording. Is it, in the old days before digital, the sound of analog, as far as I'm concerned, is a way better sound.
It is, because I think the thing with digital recordings, it captures it in bits of data.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've got it recording on an analog medium, that's the sound in its fullest sort of capacity, recorded and captured forever.
Mm-hmm.
The thing with this is I recorded this record into Logic or Pro Tools, and then I'd bounce that down to 1/4-inch tape reel, and then I sent the tape reel off to the pressing plant, and so it's kind of got a doubly analog feel to the vinyl recording. But essentially the vinyl process today hasn't changed as to what it did in the heyday, really.
Can you actually play that for us, so we could hear that? Hello?
Is that me or Tim?
Yeah, no, it's you, Dan.
Oh, me.
No, you, Dan. Can you play that so we can hear it?
Certainly, yeah. I'll see if I can get it to work. Yeah.
Yeah, see if you can get it to work. Okay. So while he's doing that, Rich, tell us, finish up some of your thoughts about awareness and the things that you think. We'll meet together and we'll talk about some of the ideas, but I'd be interested to hear from you right now, if you would give us a few, what you think.
right now, as you said, we're dealing with vaporware, and so what we're really wanting to do at this point is brainstorm reasonable ways to find other people, like developers, artists,
Right. Right.
creating this. So, and as Tim said, it doesn't matter what you're doing. This pattern of these ways of gaining traction are universal. So,
Right.
I think what we need to do is look at the people who can benefit from this technology the most and go to the places where they hang out online, find the proper blogs and the podcasts for those people, and get the word out that way that this is happening now. And
Yeah, I thought it was. I mean, for example, people might find this kind of, I don't know, insidious or objectionable. I don't. I think if you can contact who's ever uploading their stuff to places like SoundCloud, just contact all these guys and say, look, send them we could create like a brief file, a brief file attachment or some kind of way to explain what we're doing, and talk a little bit about MaidSafe, the Safe Network. Give them a link, or give them a couple links to find out about it, and contact Tim Coomber, program director of the Safe Cafe.
And I think even more so, laser targeting is a term that they use in the book, which is you go after not only those people on SoundCloud, but those people who are known to have Bitcoin addresses, on SoundCloud.
Oh, yeah.
Ways to find out people who are already aware of the benefits of the decentralization of currency. It won't be a far stretch for them to understand the benefits of the decentralization of the music.
Excellent. Excellent, because that's consistent with the general idea is to go after pioneers and earliest adopters. That's key, because you really, if people aren't already starting to think differently, like they're not involved in decentralized technology, like other kinds of things going on in what I call the cryptosphere, then that's a harder mile to go than to reach out to those that are already thinking along these lines.
I mean, we're all probably know this, and I know that the strongest element of anything to gain traction is word of mouth.
Oh yeah.
I mean, man, if we go back to music, some of my favourite bands are starting off playing gigs. They never got any publicity. They were just doing it. I remember the day when I used to get cassettes sent from the Bay Area of San Francisco. They used to send it in the back of a magazine, send it off to a little address to send it off to the Bay Area and get some suicidal tendencies a little cassette back. I mean, but what I'm trying to say is word of mouth is a strong elixir, because most people hear it from a real basis where you're not trying to pitch them an idea, and it's just like, wow, have you seen over there? Go and check it yourself. Don't listen to what I'm saying. Go and see. And that's what I say to people all the time. This isn't my idea. It's not David's idea. It's none of our ideas. This is just wow, look, this is what technology's brought us finally.
Right. So, man, it's exciting. Gosh, this is exciting. Boy, I'll tell you.
Come on, Dan. I want to listen to the vinyl. I've had vinyl for a long time, man.
Okay.
Live vinyl.
Yeah.
Oh man, no, we're making history tonight. We're playing live vinyl on the Safe Cafe.
Wow. Let's do it, man.
I'm going to switch my mic off and then switch it direct in from the turntable, if that's okay.
Yeah, sounds good. Perfect.
Drum roll. Yeah, vinyl.
Doodlebug, I see you in the sky. Please don't stop.
Is that an wait? I'm gonna sort of reel my memory back. Is that a 45 or 33?
Yeah.
45. I mean, because I remember back in the day we used to put a penny in the middle of the record player to keep it on there. I could talk vinyl for hours.
That was 45 RPM?
That was a 45. Yeah, I accidentally had it on 33
Wow.
today, but I had to switch it back up.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Was that something that you did over your part of the world, David? Do you remember putting, I don't know, a 5-cent piece in the middle of your turntable to keep it in balance, or was that just me?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. The thing about it is, me and my mate Paul were in a newly opened American ice cream parlor in Durham, and they've got this jukebox in the corner, and it's a computer based one, so it's not vinyl. And we went over to have a look at the songs, and the person came over and said, "What you doing?" And we were like, "Well, we're just having a look at the jukebox." He said, "It's not there for music. It's not there for touching." So we just like, nah, you know.
It's just a decoration for the market their ice cream, I suppose.
Exactly.
Oh man, oh man.
But it's true though. Is anything that's going to get off the floor is word of mouth. I mean, whether it's music, art, what we're doing, anything, any idea, like Rich was saying, even in a concept, even an idea. Word of mouth, word of mouth, word of mouth. I mean, I don't know. I think it's very strong. I think.
Well, I don't think there's anything stronger. I've said this before too. I said it earlier too. I worked in Hollywood, and a movie makes money or loses money in 2 weeks. It's just, and it's not all the pre-show marketing and all of that. It really ends up being after they show it the first week, people telling their friends, "You got to see the movie. You got to see this, man."
Yeah, but there's two elements, David. I mean, it's a case of not only seeing things, but we were talking before the show started about back to Emile's transmission, the device he made. At the time, we were talking that there was another guy who basically invented it, and the only reason that Emile's basically got to where he has because the other guy threw a cord, or it was a long story. People can go and check it out themselves. But the point I'm trying to make is that life is about competition. And sometimes the thing to make something, probably why we know about Emile's transmission telegraphic device is because it worked. And I think at the end of the day, it doesn't matter about word of mouth, it doesn't matter about how much publicity or whatever you do. It's like anything in the day, the product has got to work. And if it works, and you've got a demand for it, you're always going to win. Whether you're making a piece of artwork, whether you're making a piece of music, whether you've got an idea or anything, at the end of the day, life's about if people will only go to stuff it works. I mean, it's the old back when I was talking to Nick Lambert, when we were up at MaidSafe, we were comparing. It's like what we live now. I said it's like a Betamax versus VHS, or as he said, it's like Windows versus Apple. This is an ongoing competition of ideas, and ultimately, where we know, I think. Well, I kind of stand strong on what I believe and where we stand is because this is going to work. This is a concept that maybe work. No, because it'll work because everybody will contribute to making it work.
Yeah, and besides, it's an equalizing technology, and if you look at the trends in technology has gone from primitive to advanced, if you look at it that way, and in that process, as technology advanced, it went through phases where when it was less advanced, that it became instruments of control. Well, now we're getting into really advanced technology, and we're finding out that ideas like decentralization, ideas like, I mean, we did right this as we're talking. I know Paige to some degree must have mixed emotions about being in Troon tonight, because if she's still there, maybe she left, I don't know.
I think she's
But
on a
in
plane.
okay, because in San Francisco they're having a huge hackathon right now, and the idea is called Disrupt 2014, right? That's the name of it. That's the name of this huge hackathon called Disrupt 2014. And the idea that technology can disrupt the status quo being authoritarian regimes, command and control regimes, the idea of strong people, strong corporations, strong organizations being able to exploit and take advantage of weaker ones. We're changing that. This whole thing is about cooperation, and it isn't a matter of that I know everything or you know everything. It's just about being honest and saying, I can do some things and you can do other things, and let's get together and equalize the playing field for everyone, so that guys like Dan, can eat bread in the morning and play music all day, and we'll have not only great art, but people being able to access that art in unprecedented ways from all over the world. And I've always said that the 99% revolution is a completely peaceful one, and I totally, where I live in Israel, it's not a very peaceful place, and we're sometimes faced with very life and death situations, as I'm sure some of you are aware. The future of the world is not to figure out how to solve problems by going to our prime ministers and begging our leaders to make peace with the other guy who hates us. The future is people taking matters into their own hands and getting to know each other on an equal way without anybody mitigating that experience. And that's what this whole experiment is about, and it will win because it's sustainable. And I have 100% confidence not only in us being able to be successful in developing Network99. That seems to me to be so doable. I mean, I'm talking about the whole thing. The safe network and great applications on the safe network are going to give people a very different option in the future. Adia writes in, you could make a token on Doge Party and hand it out as an incentive for reading a short blog post about MaidSafe or Sweet 99, just enough to pique curiosity. I'd donate to Doge for it. See, this is what I'm talking about. This just comes out of nowhere. Adia, get with Rich. You'll be on. Thank you so much. See, this is what I'm saying. Another thing I want to say before we're done here tonight, we're going to let Dan play some music on the way out. The Safe Cafe itself is open to everybody. It belongs to everybody. I'm just the host of it, but someone has to. And anybody can contribute to the ideas about the Safe Network or any application. You got a killer application you want to make for the Safe Network? Come on the Safe Cafe and talk about it. Anybody's welcome to. And the other thing is that the Network99 in the applications that we're developing, we're going to employ something called an open value network, which is to say it is flat. There's no bosses. It's just like you were saying, Tim. You walk into MaidSafe and you're in this environment. And it's just everybody's pulling together, pitching in, doing what they can do. This is the future. This is the sustainable future of a flat, non-hierarchical, heterarchical community of people who just want to be free, just want their privacy restored, just want to be able to have their business secure, and where the default is privacy. If I want you to know about me, I want to be the guy who decides that you get to know that. I don't want other people taking that right away from me. And so we've got something that, I mean, it's just a wonderful thing to be pioneering this. I want to thank everybody for being, being supportive of the Safe Cafe. Keep watching. Keep telling your friends about what we're doing. What we're doing, the reason why we developed the Safe Cafe is to say that MaidSafe is developing the technology of the Safe Network. There's a people side to this, and we have to reach out. And I appreciate that Dan is here tonight. He's a musician. He's not a coder, but he's the guy who's gonna change everything in the future. Not just him, but musicians by the thousands and thousands who get what this is about will lead this 99% revolution. Will say, we don't have to lie down and take it anymore. We can opt out of these bad situations and opt into something that will sustain us. So I just want to thank everybody for being on tonight. Rich, thank you so much for getting that book. We're going to hear more from you. I want to thank all those who watched tonight and wrote in from all over. Wherever you were tonight, appreciate you being here. And while we go out, Dan's going to play us some music. Him being the first musician to actually play here on the Safe Cafe. Thanks for being on tonight, Dan. We really appreciate you. When Dan, go ahead.
Can I just say that next week's show, I want to do a bit of a preview for next week's show. Next week we've got Ryan W. Martin on, who I'm really excited about. I would recommend anyone go and check out Bad Ideas on YouTube, but that's just a preview for next week's show because there's another fascinating guy who's coming from the area of a filmmaker. Well, I say filmmaker because he's not a filmmaker. He does everything, but he's another very interesting person, and I'm looking forward to Rich and Ryan having a chat because they're two guys who are coming from a kind of visual sort of filmmaking point of view. So next week's show is going to, just want to put the preview out, Ryan Martin. And also check out Dan's stuff on Twitter, ETTD official, Facebook. And maybe Dan, are you playing any gigs recently? Are you got any shows coming up or anything?
Unfortunately, not with work. I'm trying though. I'm trying.
Okay. And what are you going to play us out with tonight, Dan?
It'll be Lady Windermere.
Oh, fantastic.
Fantastic.
And I'd like to take this opportunity to dedicate this one to Leva from Norway.
Oh, brilliant.
Right on. Right on.
Okay, are we ready?
Go.
Go for it.
Goodbye, people.
Lady Windermere, you gotta stay away. For the sake of love and life you live today. When vitriol is in the air and ambivalence to how he dares. Behind closed doors, where love and hate is not the choice, it's principle. And love is easily killed by blinded trust and faith. When time passes her by, it's somewhat unfulfilled. When everything goes from light to dark, and atmospheres remain like feelings from a broken heart. She writes her notes. Goodbyes are always hard to say. Lord Windermere. Reluctance to deceive is to always take the chance. Upon such she leaves her husband at the dance. When doubts fill up inside her head, and every single word on her note was read. She must get back to home is where the truth will lie and love will die. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, man. Thank you, thank you. That was awesome, man. That was the best.
Thank you so much.
Hey, come back again sometime, would you?
Definitely, I'll be happy to. Anytime.
And if we can help, you know, co-promote anything that you're doing, just let us know. And if you got some, you know, gigs that you're doing, let Tim know. You know, we're any band that's been on here, we want to be able to put the word out and let people know what you're doing. And please go ahead and tell everybody that you know what's going on here, because it's going to help every musician on the planet one day. And thanks again so much. Go ahead, Rich.
I was going to say, where's the best place to download your music where you actually get the most money from that purchase?
It would probably be iTunes, really. Yeah.
iTunes right now. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
As I said,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, but as I said, you know, money isn't, not the most important thing in the world, you know.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course not. That's why you're an artist. we just want you to eat. That's all we care about. We're gonna hang up soon here. Tim, Rich, hang out though. Don't go away. And we're gonna stop the broadcast, and we're gonna say goodbye to Dan. Thanks so much again for being here, and thanks again to our viewers from the Startup Nation Israel. This is David Lassoff saying thanks for watching the Safe Cafe. We'll see you next Sunday. Bye bye.
Bye bye.